Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show. Joe Zagacki alongside Don Bailey Jr. On Saturday, the Hurricanes go to Atlanta to take on the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech in another important game for the University of Miami. We are into November. The Hurricanes playing really relevant games, and the reason why is because they keep winning, like they did this past Saturday against Duke.
Well, it's playoff football, Joe. That's what you always say about the month of November. But going to Bobby Dodd Stadium and taking on Georgia Tech, place that is a tough environment. But Miami is on a roll, and I believe that they're going to come out victorious.
Series between Miami and Georgia Tech is even at 14 apiece. Yellow Jackets have had some question marks at quarterback because of injuries. We'll see how that plays out. But overall, if you were to identify them, they want to stop the run, and they run the ball pretty well.
They're a line of scrimmage team. They're very similar to the University of Miami when it comes to their philosophy. They want great defensive line, great offensive line. They want to run the football, and they've got a quarterback that's hard to pin down also.
Okay, we'll hear more about this game. University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal coming up next. Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show. Joe Zagacki, my broadcast partner, Don Bailey Jr., and of course, University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. This week, the Hurricanes on the road, taking on the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech in Atlanta at 12 o'clock. Miami coming off another impressive win, 9-0 for the season, coach. This was a hard-fought, come from behind, all out, all hands on deck win against the Duke Blue Devils.
You know what? We got off to a really fast start and took control early, and then gave that away, and had to really storm back in the second half and take control. Towards the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter, and then go from there. So again, proud of the effort. Certainly, there's some things in between there that we got to clean up and get better at, but want to know.
Coach, you bring up the word effort. I want to bring up a couple names. Elijah Lofton, he got a touchdown, of course. Mm-hmm. And he's been doing a great job on short yardage goal line, but I don't think people realize what his return was on that squib kick, what that meant. And then Jacoby George had, of course, the big catch, but also he made sure Restrepo went into the end zone by shielding off and blocking on his way in. Just after the play kind of guys in that game.
No doubt. I mean, that squib return was a monster play for us, and great execution by the rest of the guys on the kickoff return team. But Elijah is very natural with the ball in his hands. Again, he's one of the guys that we know has an awesome future here at the University of Miami. He got us right past midfield, gave us great field position. And Jacoby George, we made a big deal of it today in meetings about not only that play, but other plays down the field where he's throwing his body around, trying to make sure that our guys are getting extra yardage and finding a way to finish plays. So it's good because that kind of stuff is contagious.
Coach, picking up on the squib kick for a moment, the other side said the reason they went with the squib kick was because of Chris Johnson, that they felt he was getting very close to breaking one. And so his returns, I thought, on Saturday were aggressive, and that led them to a mistake, which was, as you pointed out, was gigantic for Miami.
Well, strategically, there's some merit to that, but for us, knowing that is the case sometimes, we do put a capable guy at all positions back there that can touch the ball, because if it does go that way, we're going to make it a positive gain for us.
Coach, Xavier Restrepo got into the record books. I mean, he's the best there is as far as numbers go now in a couple categories as a receiver. But I was talking to someone after the game, and they asked about it, and I said, well, really, he's a story about endurance, being here 5 years, sticking it out, making sure that he maximized his career. And with maximizing your career, you maximize your numbers.
Without a doubt, man. And it's all been earned. You see how hard he works. You see him every single day. He pours everything into it, and he's just battled. And he's been through a lot. He's been through a lot of changes here. And he's come out on the other side as a record holder. So, and such an impactful guy for our team in this program. So, super happy for him and his family. I know that was a tremendous moment, but for him as well as it is for the other guys, the most important part was getting that W.
Cam Ward, he also goes into the record books, 29 touchdown passes for the year. And we've talked a lot about how much the players respect him and the accountability that he brings. I don't know, maybe one thing we don't talk about enough for us is his accuracy. Man, he lands some passes. You talk about tight needles to thread, and he just lands some beautiful balls.
He does, and he does it in practice. And he works on it after practice, and he works on it his entire life, in the off season. So it's great that the public gets to see all his hard work come to fruition. We see it every single day in practice. So a tremendous amount of confidence in him. Really appreciate his approach to the game. Really appreciate the way he impacts his teammates in the preparation part, which leads to good performances.
Mark Fletcher and Martinez, both of those guys turning out to be a great 1-2 punch, big, powerful backs. But in this game, and it's happened numerous times, but Mark Fletcher, without the football, made some big impacts.
No doubt about it. That the screen pass down there, to Sam Brown, I mean, he takes off and he gets in front of the linebacker and cuts him off to assure that we had a path to the end zone. Almost got in there, got down to the 2, and then punched it in. But plays like that deserve so much publicity and so much credit, because those are the types of plays and efforts that can change a game, change a season. And Mark certainly epitomizes, what a great example for all of us should be as it relates to both football and life.
Duke's offense got rolling there for a little while. They were making some plays. But in the second half, they had 8 possessions. And the last 5 ended in punt, interception, fumble, and punt.
Mm-hmm.
So your defense all of a sudden turned things around. How did that happen?
Credit to the players and credit to the coaches for some adjustments that allowed us to just keep things in front and get guys on the ground and put pressure on the quarterback as well. It's like you mentioned, we started off really well, right, with a couple 3s and outs and a turnover forced. And then right in the middle there's 5 drives that were shaky, And it's all things that we have control of, that we can get better at. So that is encouraging. And it showed up in those last 5 drives. So we got to build off of that, keep working at it, keep getting opportunities for some of the guys that are showing they can do it, and go get better.
Coach Frederic has his first interception as a Miami Hurricane, but we had a chance to talk with him in the locker room after the game. First of all, what a fine young man. And second of all, just his growth spurt for not having been a part of spring, for just coming in the summer. It's almost amazing in today's day and age.
It is, and he was, again, product of a great high school program in St. Thomas Aquinas, and everything he's doing now he was already doing, and he did it in camp when he showed up. But raised the right way, awesome family, awesome parents, and approaches this like a true professional. And he's a great example for other freshmen. Whether you're talented or not, you have to approach it a certain way. You've got to be really mature about your approach to preparation, because if you do it the right way and you're capable, you're going to play, and he's certainly doing that for us.
I think he played in the Miami Gardens Optimist, so not too far from Hard Rock Stadium, probably a local homegrown product. We talk a lot about finishing games and the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter this year, you've outscored your opponent 131-41, and you did it again offensively, 7 possessions, 5 touchdowns, 3 touchdown drives in a row.
All that means is we got to keep getting better. We certainly have had some opportunities to take control of games a little bit earlier. And I think it's at this time of year, it's more important to focus on some of the flaws than some of the accomplishments. And we took a deeper dive into that this morning as well. And I think the appetite to get better is really, really strong. So that's good stuff, but we've got to build on that and do better earlier to be the team we want to be.
5 and 6 in the red zone. That's a focus that started this season, is making sure you did improve in the red zone.
Without a doubt. And it's you get in the red zone, you got to score touchdowns in this day and age of college football. I mean, people have high-powered offenses. They have really good players, explosive playmakers. You want to always stay ahead, on that scoreboard.
You have another freshman, maybe might have to play a little bit more for you, Zaquan Patterson. What about his makeup, and what do you need from him over the next couple of weeks?
He keeps getting better and better, and he has he's developing. He's certainly investing more time in understanding exactly what we're doing, and we feel very confident in him playing. And he is getting more and more playing time because he's earned it. It's not like we're just giving him an opportunity because we like the guy. The guy has really put in time, and he's one of the best tacklers as a freshman that I've ever been around. So it showed up in the game on Saturday, and you're going to see more and more of Zaquan Patterson.
Coach, your offensive line played a pretty darn good game. I saw Maui Noah had just smashed some guys in that game. And then, of course, Jalen and Inez, the whole group, the center, everybody played very well. They seem to be coming back together again after losing Jalen for a few weeks.
They are, and the development of Markel is awesome to see. Yeah. The versatility of Jalen bouncing inside and outside is also great to see. And the way those guys communicate, regardless of who's in there, they're on the same page, and they play really hard. And we knew that going in, we were going to see a bunch of exotic packages, and we were going to have to block them up to be successful. And when you play against a scheme that brings it like that, there's a lot of feast or famine to it. And they picked it up really, really well. It allowed us to get some really big plays, explosive plays, and really pull ahead.
We heard Markel Bell in our pregame show. Might be the first time we heard from him this year. And I think his personality might be as big as he is. But his journey to get here, the trust that he put in you, Coach Mirabal, to come here from Mississippi, and then the job you guys have done with him in developing him to where he is today.
I'll tell you, the credit goes to Big Kel and the time he has invested. I mean, you even saw him during spring break, during off time, just grinding in the weight room and working on his pass sets, working on his footwork. And credit to Coach Mirabal, Coach Pata, Coach Bain, the way that they work with him. They get every ounce out of him, but he also gets every ounce out of them. It's a great partnership, and his best days are ahead of him.
Coach, how many times in your career have you done what you're doing with Jalen, where you a series of tackles, a series of tackle, then at guard, and then back out again, and just that's a part of the equation? I know you and Coach Mirabal always trying to get the best 5 on the field and the healthiest 5 on the field, but how often have you seen that in your career?
Well, I mean, it's doing right by the players as much as it is the program, right? Because you've got to do right by both. And these guys, you know, and we expect them to play for a long time, they're going to be asked to do that at the next level. The NFL is not going to bring in a guy and, you know, move over a 6-year vet that's a Pro Bowler just because a guy in college is playing that position too. You're going to have to play different spots. And so we prepare them for that, which prepares us for any emergency in a game, which prepares us for, God forbid, any injuries or situations that, you know, provide, you know, a hole that you got to fill with the right guy. So Coach Mirabal does a great job making sure that there's technique overlap, transition, and versatility with all those guys.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. Time now for the high performance moment presented by Kia. And what a moment this was, Don. Xavier Restrepo on the other end of this pass, a record-setting touchdown reception.
It's a moment in history, Joe, but a great job executing the play. You have Cam Ward faking the run. You have the backs going into the line of scrimmage. He locates Restrepo, hits him right between the numbers in full stride. But I love that Jacoby George comes in at the end of the play and makes sure that Restrepo is not walked down.
All-time leader in receiving yards, Xavier Restrepo. Cam Ward now 29 touchdown passes, and Restrepo's parents very proud of their son. The high performance moment presented by Kia. Okay, it's Miami and Georgia Tech on Saturday from Atlanta. Hurricanes and the Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech 5-4, 3-3 in conference play. 29th meeting between Miami and Georgia Tech in the series is dead even, 14-14. This is not an easy road trip. This is a very good team. Quarterback is banged up, so his status a bit unclear. But they're physical in the trenches, right? Both offensive line and defensive line.
Without a doubt, their quarterback, we expect him to play. He's a great football player, extremely athletic and accurate, and plays with a ton of courage. Tremendous leader, and they're mature on both sides of the ball up front. You look at them across the board, it's senior, redshirt senior, junior, redshirt junior. Their offensive line has, I believe they might lead the country in snaps, total snaps. So they played a lot of football together. They're in sync. They play with a lot of power. They play with tremendous athleticism, and they are in unison. They're nasty up front. And on the defensive side, it's the same way. They're big, they're explosive. Their edge guys have created a lot of problems for their opponents. Their offensive line protects their quarterback extremely well, 1 or 2 in the country, you know, and their defensive line applies a lot of pressure. So you're looking at a team that is stacked up with some really talented players.
Coach, assuming Haynes King plays the quarterback, he's a guy that is equally as threatening running the football as he is with his arm.
He is. He adds a dimension to the offense that's really hard to prepare for. So you've really got to do a great job with preparation. You've got to understand that they have a lot of different ways to hurt you because they're really explosive out in the perimeter. You know, their slots, their wide receivers, their tight ends, all these guys have been responsible for big chunk explosive plays. They're all capable. They're all really, really fast. And they have shown it throughout the year that they can be as effective as any offense in this conference. So we're looking forward to the challenge. We're looking forward to the opportunity to play such a good football team.
Yeah, I was going to say along those lines, he's thrown for almost 6,000 yards in his career, and the wide receivers that he has have caught a lot of footballs. Rutherford's caught a pass in 24 straight games. Singleton, a really dynamic player, and their running game is one of the top in the top 50 as well. So they can really run the football.
Without a doubt, and it starts up front. It starts up front, and they give you a lot of looks, a lot of eyewash, right? There's quarterback power sweep, speed sweep. There's counter, there's split zone, there's wide zone, split zone, full flow zone. They do a lot, and they test your eyes. Your eye discipline has to be on point, but you have to be aggressive. You can't go out there and see too much and get frozen. You got to play fast because they have fast players that can split you and make you pay.
Coach, how do you handle the management of practice this time of year? I know you go good on good, and it's a belief that you have, and I absolutely believe in it as well, but you got to start managing different things at different times of the year.
Yeah, every 3 to 4 weeks we modify because you get deeper and deeper into the year. And then lucky for us, you hit your bye weeks at certain times, which allows you to, again, get healthy, allows you to get your legs back a little bit more. And right now at this point in time, we're about as modified as you can get and still prepare effectively. Where do we practice hard? Yes. Do we get after it and wear our pads? Absolutely. But there's also some tapering towards the latter part of the week in preparation for the game.
Coach, what makes their run defense effective? They're 25th in the nation against the run.
Well, I think the way they tie it all together, their front seven is really, really good. It's one of the best front sevens that we've played all year. They're explosive up front. They're powerful up front. They hold blocks well. They play with great technique. They bring pressure, 35, 36% of the time, and they mix it up outside, inside, and their safeties run the alley very well. Those guys are really good tacklers. They're 205, 210-pound guys that are really good tacklers. They understand leverage. They go low to high. They shoot their hands. They get people on the ground, and they do a good job outside playing both zone and man coverage. So they can test you in a lot of different ways and create an extra guy in the box, and they play some zero as well. So they're going to load you up and they're going to test you and they're going to see if you can get the ball down the field, both in the run game and the pass game.
Coach Andy Borregales, again, 6 for 6 on the PATs, but a 29-yard field goal, and his kickoffs have been great, though, especially the last few weeks.
Without a doubt. And when Andy's doing that, it's our special teams take another step. I didn't talk enough about the special teams today because they had a great game. What never makes the tape is, okay, there weren't any fakes. Well, they snuffed out the fakes. Sometimes in punt safe or sometimes not. But, there's the things we show our team on tape. Hey, because of your alignment here and the way you called things out, we were able to prevent the team from running a fake. And the coverage teams did a really good job of being physical, being disciplined, and with block destruction, which was key. Not biting on the fake reverse and staying in their lanes, making sure they shed their blocks and leverage the football to allow the other hats to get there as well and take part. All in all, it was a great day for special teams.
I think one of the other things that jumps out about your team through 9 games, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but not only the unity that your team is showing, but also the competitiveness. It's a very competitive bunch of guys, isn't it?
I think from top to bottom, from the players to the coaches, the GAs and the analysts, it's like that, and we like to refer to it to our team. You know what I mean? It's all of us in there, man. I think everyone knows that we have a group that is special because they're really hardworking and they're good human beings and they're talented, and we just want to get better. I mean, we really couldn't care less about anything except getting better and going 1-0. And we recognize that we have a lot of work to do. We recognize that we have to get better in a lot of different areas. And we also recognize that it's done during the week in practice. It's not talked about, preached about, or tweeted. You got to go work at it. So good day of work today. Looking forward to a great day of work tomorrow.
How rare is it to have a team that recognizes it? Because this one does. You see it in everything that they do, but that's not always the case.
Well, I think when you have a couple of seasons to establish a culture and bring in people at all levels that believe in it, that embody the things that you want to do from a cultural standpoint, it starts driving home. And then when they have some of that work validated with some strong performances and some betterment and some wins, I think that's when it all starts coming together. And then when it helps us increase as an organization, our appetite for being 1-0, and so all that coming together is, it's a neat thing. And again, I go back to it. It's the only focus is just getting better and being 1-0.
I also think what's interesting, we had this conversation, for example, an O.J. Frederick comes on campus. It's kind of a two-part conversation for you. And you can see what he might develop into. And so the importance of bringing players on campus. But also, when you played, Don, when you played, Coach, it was about football, the love of football. And I think when those guys come on campus, they see the primary thing here, which is, with this team, a love of football.
They do. These guys are incredible to be around. And it makes you, we get up at hours that people, can't even fathom sometimes. But you get up really enthused, like legitimately enthused, and almost like, I don't know, you're jumping out because you want to do right by these players, because they're investing a ton. They want to win. They're doing the things that we're asking them to do, and we're pushing them hard. And they're going to be pushed harder, and they're going to be challenged harder, because that's what they signed up for. And what comes with that, all right, is having strong performances on Saturday, having success in life, just doing everything humanly possible that is right by them so they can be as successful as they can be.
Coach, the last couple of weeks, especially, I've noticed a ton of recruits at the games and around this football team. What a great example your team is setting for them for the future, but what has the response been from the recruits being around this football team?
Well, that's where we want our recruits to be at. Don't get me wrong, we all like to eat a nice dinner and all that other stuff, but we want our prospects and our targets to come see us play and come see us practice. Really got to come see us practice. They have to be up there front and center, watching our coaches teach, whether it be in a meeting or whether it be on the field, watching us go through competitive drills, watch our guys respond in competitive drills and the way they go after each other, make each other better. And that, like, competition here is a welcome thing. It's not a threat, it's a welcome thing. And I think when they are around that, it's either going to attract the right ones or maybe not attract the ones that wouldn't fit in a culture that demands what this one does. So.
And you want the parents here too, right? You
100%.
want anybody who's a part of the family.
We want parents talking to parents of current players, and we just want transparency and honesty, right? We want this partnership, we want that foundation to be set on truth, on honesty, on transparency, so we could build hard work on top of that.
I don't know, when I left the stadium, there was a recruit. He was about 6'8". So, yeah, it's the place to come. Large human being, and you've been recruiting some large players here recently. So we all like that profile. Before we go, we are coming down the home stretch, 3 weeks to go. And this is when a lot of distractions come in from the outside, because everybody starts talking playoffs and rankings and all that. And this is where I think your focus of 1-0 and concentrating on 1 week at a time really comes into play, right?
Yeah, there's no 3 weeks on our minds. There's not. There's no talk of 3 weeks. There's no focus on that, because we can't. We have a monster game on Saturday against a great football team that has a lot of good players. And the focus today is making sure that we finish the day the right way in school, taking care of all our academic obligations, and that we're jumping all over film with every ounce of free time that we have, and coming in and having our best Tuesday practice we've had all year.
It's funny how, though, when all those other obligations are taken care of, how it helps on the field, right?
It's a mindset. It's truly is. It's not tucking a shirt because it looks nicer. It's because that's what we do. So do it, because that way you stay on side when it's getting hard. When you get a hard count on 4th and 1, it's doing things a certain way to establish a very united mindset that cannot and will not be compromised or broken. And we're getting better and better at that stuff. We got to keep pushing it.
All right, Coach. Very best of luck against Georgia Tech.
Thank you. Go Canes.
All right, that's University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. We'll continue on the show right after this. When you give it your all to be in peak condition, sometimes you get hurt. From meniscus or rotator cuff tears to muscle strains and other common sports injuries, the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute, part of UHealth University of Miami Health System, are committed to getting you back to your best safely, effectively, and as quickly as possible. Recover your game with the same team that cares for your Miami Hurricanes. Schedule an appointment today at ulsports.com. Happy to welcome you back to the Mario Cristobal Show. Joe Zagacki alongside Don Bailey Jr. And on Saturday, it's Miami and Georgia Tech from Atlanta, 12 o'clock kickoff from Bobby Dodd Stadium. One thing about this Hurricane team, the other side better play four quarters because this Hurricane team has proven this year they are playing four quarters.
You are getting 59 minutes and 59 seconds out of this football team every single Saturday or every single game day. And it really has started from the very beginning, Joe. The practices are set up that way. Coach has done a good job explaining the expectations and what it takes to win. And some of these games, Miami has needed every bit of those 60 minutes.
50-plus points in 5 games. Quarterback Cam Ward has been absolutely spectacular.
He has, Joe, and there's no reason on earth that he should not win this Heisman Trophy. I mean, he finishes out the way that he started. He is a guy that makes it happen no matter what the situation is, no matter what he's faced with. You know that you've got a chance to win the football game with Cam Ward.
Finally, Hurricanes looking for a 10-win season, the first since 2017 and only the second since 2003.
That's an amazing number when you think about it. And once Miami gets through to the 10, then they're going to look for the 11 and 12, and then, of course, on from there. But this has just been a very exciting season, and Coach Cristobal has done an amazing job keeping these young men focused every single game.
Okay, for Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal, I'm Joe Zagacki. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Mario Cristobal Show.